Hey guys, Movie Fan 356 here, and today we're continuing the Nightmare on Elm Street film series with A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Now, I'm excited for this review, if you couldn't tell. But A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, basically the plot of it is we see these kids in a insane asylum kind of thing. It's like a hospital, but also an insane asylum at the same time, called Weston Hills. And we see all these kids. We find out they're the only survivors of the Elm Street children. Basically, the only survivors of Freddy. And we see Nancy, Nancy from the first movie, come back, and she's now a psychiatrist after what she's been through. You know, I think she could be a good psychiatrist. And she's, assigned to kind of help these kids with a doctor named Dr. Gordon. And no, not Dr. Gordon from Saw, but the OG Dr. Gordon, if you will. And they're kind of, trying to help these kids, with their dream problems. Meanwhile, Freddy comes back and he's going after these kids now. And, so Nancy and Dr. Gordon have to try to get a hold of something called Hypnocil, which is basically a drug that will, stop them from dreaming. Or at least, they won't know what they're dreaming about or something. It basically stops their dream. That's basically the plot of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Now, what I think of this movie is I love it. It is my favorite sequel of the series. I think this should have been Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Personally, if you ask me, this should have been number 2. Because, because you got the return of Nancy, you're connecting it a lot more with the first one. I mean, the second one had, the whole Nancy's diary kind of thing, and talking about what happened in the first movie, like, oh yeah, Nancy lived here, her boyfriend got killed across the street, there's bars on the window. So the second one connects it a little bit, but I think this one should have been the true sequel. So yeah. Now, what I think of Heather Langenkamp, yes, Heather Langenkamp is playing Nancy again in this film. What I think about her as Nancy this time around is I like her. You can see that she's grown up since we last saw her. And she's using what she'd been through, or what she went through in the first movie, to help others. And she's using it for a good cause. And, I still like the character of Nancy, and I like it. Heather Langenkamp's performance was still good. She's even grown as an actor, as an actress in this film. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. And, what I think about Robert Englund is it's Robert Englund. He's gonna be Freddy, he's gonna be what we all hope he is, and he is. So, wow, that probably didn't make any sense at all. So yeah. Now, what I think of the other kids, you got Kincaid, who is this guy who he's kind of a tough guy. He doesn't really put up with anything. Even from the doctor, he's like, man, fuck that shit. Yes, he's black. That's why I kind of sounded like that. You got Joey, who is mute, and but everybody else can kind of understand what he's saying, really, even though he's mute, even though he doesn't say anything. The other kids know what Joey's trying to say. So yeah, it's just, yeah. It's a good sequel. It is. If you guys have never seen Nightmare on Elm Street 3, definitely check it out. This is the best sequel, in my opinion, anyway. Let's talk about... This one's actually got pretty good soundtrack. There's that Dokken, which is a rock band from the 80s. They made a song for this movie called Dream Warriors. And it's actually a badass song, and it fits perfectly with the movie. So... I mean, that just adds to it right there. Let's talk about John Saxon in the film. Yes, John Saxon plays Nancy's father in the first movie. He's back in this one as well. He's more of an asshole than he was in the first one. But you can kind of understand... In this one, you can understand more why he's an asshole. You know, he lost his wife. He pretty much lost his daughter. He lost his whole life, basically, you know, and he's just, when we see him, he's in a bar drinking and just being a kind of asshole, and he talks to Nancy, and he goes, you know, you should have called, you should call sometime, you know. I'm like, dude, why are you being a fucking asshole? I mean, I know why, but your daughter's right there. You at least have that still. You know, she's trying to communicate with you. Speaking of parents, Dr. Gordon is basically, he's trying to uncover some secrets about Freddy, to how to stop him exactly. And he comes across this nun, and she's telling him some stuff throughout the movie. Well, the end of the movie, we find out that was actually Freddy's mom in the film. So I thought that element was actually interesting, that they would add for Freddy's mom in there, because we think she's there the whole time. But we find out at the end that she was dead, and you know, it was a ghost. And I thought that was an interesting element. So I'm glad they put that in there. Well, the grade for Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors is, I think I gave the first one either a solid A or an A minus. I don't remember exactly, but part 3, I'm going to have to give this one A minus. I'm going to give it an A minus. Now, if that's the same grade I use as the first movie, then yeah, it's about the same when it comes to the grades. You know, I like 1 and 3 equally. I think 3 is a good sequel. So yeah. Well, guys, what do you guys think of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors? Let me know down below. Did you like it? Do you hate it? And we're in the third one now. So, what are your guys' favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie? Aside from the first one, actually. What is your favorite Nightmare sequel? I should have said that. The look of Freddy, actually. Before I go out, I do want to talk about the look of Freddy. The look of Freddy is, you know, it's okay. It's better than 2. It's not as good as 1, but it's better than 2. Yeah. The kills, before I go, I know, I keep remembering stuff. The kills in this movie are pretty memorable. You got the one where, you know, Freddy's using his veins as strings. And, yeah, you got, I mean, the best one, though, probably, in this whole movie is when the girl's watching TV. I forget her character's name, but when she's watching TV and Freddy kind of grabs her, he comes out of the TV and he grabs her and he goes, "Welcome to prime time, bitch," and sticks her right in the TV. I mean, that was fucking, that's the best kill in this movie. But yeah, the kills are spectacular, and yeah. But there is one more thing I wanted to talk about before I go. I know, I'm remembering this as I go. One more thing I want to talk about is the death of Nancy. Yes, Nancy dies. I don't know why they killed her off exactly. Maybe she just didn't want to do any more after 3. You know, maybe she didn't want any more part of it. Or maybe, you know, because you know they had plans for another Nightmare on Elm Street after this. And so maybe her being alive just didn't really fit with their plan. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But I don't like that Nancy died. But that's just me, you know. I would have liked to see her carry on as long as she could. So, because she is the ultimate survivor of Freddy, you know. She's the one that beat him in the first movie, you know. So, yeah. That's all I can say for today. Like I said, I'm giving Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors an A-. And that's all I can say for today. I'll see you guys in the next video.